Yeah, the Pixie is the third subclass I've made, and I released it around the time of the Feywild book coming out, but I didn't really promote it as much as I should have. I just made it on the Patreon, plopped it on there, and didn't really tell anyone about it. So yeah, we're going back and revisiting the Pixie. So with the subclasses I design, I want to try and squeeze everything onto an A4 page. I just think it's easier for people using it to flip from page to page so they don't get confused. There's not like loads of extra text and finicky rules. I want to make sure it's streamlined, easy to understand, impactful for the game, and fun. That's the main thing. But yeah, if you'd like to leave a comment and tell me anything about the Pixie, if you're watching the video, then go ahead. Oh, like and subscribe and all that nonsense, but I don't want to patronize you. I'm sure you've heard that all before. So, the Pixie. Pixies and their kin are mischievous tricksters by nature, going where they please and sowing chaos in their wake. They've been known to spy on innocent creatures by sprinkling magical dust. They can grant a fraction of their fey powers. Their nature is shrouded in mystery. What little known tells of a monarchy led by the Pixie Queen. Despite their chaotic nature, they oppose violence and always talk their way out of hostile situations. Innocent pranks lend them to be seen as more as pests than any real threat, and when threatened, pixies are known to turn invisible. Creatures with the pixie's blessings can shrink down to their size, sprout ethereal wings for a short time, and tend to favour trickery over more brute force techniques. Now, with the sorcerer subclasses, one thing I did pick up on is that they all get flying abilities at a certain level, usually level 6, sometimes later, sometimes earlier. And the Pixie's no exception. But we'll carry on. We'll start by going to the first part. When designing the Pixie, I wanted to try and give it a little bit of flavour that you're blessed by Pixies. You're not Pixie by heritage. You don't have any Pixie blood. So you could argue that it has some potential to be a warlock, but I think the Sorcerer does deserve a more Feywild subclass. And here we go with the Pixie. Level 1, your creature type becomes Fey in addition to any other creature types. You gain access to the Druidcraft and Vicious Mockery cantrips, and you'll learn to speak, read, and write Sylvian. So far, it's an extra bit of flavour. Doesn't have a big impact on the game. Well, it doesn't have a big impact in combat. Trickster of the Fey might. Your magical Fey heritage can be used to manipulate what is perceived to be real. You can use your reaction to distract a person. In combat, their next attack roll is made at disadvantage, or out of combat, their next charisma-based saving throw is at disadvantage. Once you use this reaction, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest, or unless you spend 2 sorcery points to use it again. So this is kind of a Bane nerf sort of ability, and yeah, I think that tying it to charisma is really synergistic with the sorcerer as well. So it's a good way to try and defend yourself as well. If someone's trying to attack you as a sorcerer, you're really squishy, you're open to damage, and you want to defend yourself any way possible. Here you go, just slap some disadvantage on them, use your reaction. So the next one, at level 6, we have Pixie Form. So with Pixie Form, you'll learn to channel your mischievous powers to reduce your size. As a bonus action, you can magically gain the following benefits, which last for 1 minute. If you're larger than small, you become small, along with anything you're wearing. Ethereal dragonfly wings sprout from your back. You gain a flying speed equal to half your walking speed, and you may also hover off the ground. This does not affect anything you are wearing. Due to your mobile nature, you gain a +2 AC bonus against any incoming attacks. And again, this is tied to a long rest, or you can spend 4 sorcery points to get it back. So this is great flavour. It gives you a bit of flying, it shrinks you down, and I wanted to try and do something that was the opposite to the Rune Knight, which is a giant themed subclass for the fighter, found in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. With that subclass, you can grow into a giant size, but with this one, you can shrink down to a pixie size. Well, smaller size, not pixie. But still, I think for level 6 it allows a lot of utility, and it has practical uses in combat as well. Giving you the AC bonus is always helpful. That's one thing that casters are always lacking, is a good armor class. They're always reliant on spells like shield or mage armor. But this would stack with mage armor, so worth considering. Level 14 ability. Pouch of Pixie Dust. You may use your Fey lineage to summon Pixie Dust. So essentially, at level 14, you get a free use of Greater Invisibility or Polymorph. These are two powerful spells that are always going to be useful, and I think it's suitable. It kind of ties into the Pixie narrative as well, being a trickster and not being malicious. Well, you can choose to be malicious, that's your character's nature. But yeah, I want all of the abilities to be tied to spending sorcery points as well, so it gives the player the option to use it more than once. It has a little bit of flexibility that way. At level 18, you gain full control over your Feywild origins and your claim to the throne of Pixie Monarchy. When in Pixie form, you gain advantage on saving throws against spells and other magical effects. Entering your Pixie form now has no time limit and does not require sorcery points to use. So I know that some races do have something similar to gaining advantage on saving throws against spells and magical effects, but this is in theme with Pixie. It's powerful, and essentially you're getting to turn off and on flying and +2 AC. So I think that for level 18, it has really good options. When you compare it to other subclasses, it's more powerful in some places but weaker in others, so I think it does have a place on the higher levels, but it's not overpowered. If you choose to use this, then you're not going to be like outbalancing the game at all. And finally, if we scroll down, we can see the expanded spell list. I was tempted to put the spell list at the start, but it kind of ruins the flow of reading, so leaving it to the end I think's fair. So level 1, Fairy Fire and Dissonant Whispers. Fairy Fire is great utility. I think it's probably one of the best druid spells at level 1. I'm probably going to get corrected in the chat, but hey, Fairy Fire, giving people in your party more advantage to attack creatures against a single creature is really powerful. And Dissonant Whispers is just a good way to deal some damage and mess with the heads of enemies. At second level, you get Pass Without a Trace and Animal Messenger. With Path Without a Trace, it's giving you stealth, it's adding some pixie flavor. And again, with Animal Messenger, it's not the most commonly picked spell, so I thought being able to speak to animals and use them to pass messages along would tie in with the smurfish nature of the subclass. At third level, you get Bestow Curse and Spirit Guardians. Thought I'd pick something from the Cleric list of spells. Spirit Guardians would be completely on theme, and it's really good. It was very tempting to just pick the best spells possible, but I tried to reel myself in. There was a lot of toing and froing about what spells to include, but I think choosing ones that were the best way to tie into the theme was going to work out. The fourth level spells are Confusion and Giant Insect. Giant Insect, it's not a commonly used spell, but if you actually read up, after we look at the rest of the spells, we can bring up some of them in the box and we can actually see what they look like. You can transform up to 10 centipedes, 3 spiders, 5 wasps, or 1 scorpion with a range. Giant versions of them. What's that? Star Trek Zach. So when you choose this subclass, your creature type becomes Fey. Doesn't replace your current creature type through... No. It's just Fey is in addition to your regular creature type. It implies you have Fey heritage, but you're not 100% Pixie. Unless you find a homebrew Pixie race as well, but I think it'll overlap with a lot of the abilities you get from this subclass, so it might be a little bit redundant. Yeah, Fairy Fire and Spirit Guardians. Every time I have a cleric, Spirit Guardians is essential. Every time I have a bard or a druid, Fairy Fire is essential. So putting them on the sorcerer is a great way to. It's balanced, but it's also a great way to buff up the sorcerer as well. So we've covered the Echo Knight, we've covered the Pixie Sorcerer, we've covered the. Oh no, my mind's gone blank again. Is it Shadow Guard? That's what it was. I knew it was some shadow thing. As always, if you want to pick up any of these subclasses, you can find them on the Ko-fi. You can download them all in one group on Patreon. There's 7 subclasses up there so far. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. And the plan is I'm going to try and stream something like this every Monday.